Hi, everyone. It's SS Coulter. It's that time in our week when we're going to slow down and bring some joy back into our lives. Today, we're talking about how to stop living in constant survival mode, let go of trying to control everything, and become present enough to actually experience life and joy. So, with that, let there be joy.
Welcome to Let There Be Joy, where SS Coulter talks with experts who share 3 simple, practical ideas you can actually use to help build a life you don't want to escape from.
Welcome to this week's episode of Let There Be Joy. Today is a fun one for 2 reasons. First, this is episode number 13. Now, some people think 13 is an unlucky number, but I've never been convinced that joy has much of anything to do with luck. Yes, there are good things that will happen and hard things that happen. Life isn't always fair. It isn't. But joyful people understand something important. While we can't control everything that happens to us, we can choose how we respond. Joy gives us the strength to face life's circumstances instead of becoming victims of them. And that is a powerful way to live. The second reason today's episode is special is that the calm, joyful voice you hear welcoming you into every episode of Let There Be Joy is our guest today. And that's no coincidence. The peace you hear in her voice reflects a life intentionally lived. And today she's going to share how we can experience more of that same peace by slowing down, becoming present, and trusting God a little more. So it is truly my pleasure to tell you about Michal Schuster. I'm going to read you her bio, and then we will get into her tips. Michal Schuster is a social media marketing strategist and certified advanced somatic practitioner whose work helps people build healthier businesses and healthier lives by understanding how their nervous system works. Her journey has taken her from growing a YouTube channel while living on a sailboat in the Caribbean — she is very brave — to starting completely over, even more brave, calling off a wedding, moving home, and rebuilding her life and business from scratch. Today, her work sits at the intersection of business, online marketing strategy, and nervous system regulation. Because whether you're putting yourself out there online or navigating the daily demands of life, the best strategy in the world means nothing if your nervous system is spiraling behind the scenes. What I love about her work is that she helps people realize lasting peace is not found by doing more. It's found by learning how to slow down, trust God, and pay attention to what our bodies are trying to tell us. I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, Michal Schuster. Hi, Michal. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. Wait, before we get into it, can I just share with you that I was born on the 13th and 13 has always been my favorite number?
Hey, we're keeping that in the show
What?
because that's a God nod. It's amazing. See, it's not an unlucky number right there. And look how joyful she is, born on the 13th.
Oh,
Okay.
so cool.
That is amazing. And before we get into her tips, I do want to tell the listeners, I know Michal personally. I was introduced to her through marketing, and she is just really starting to gear up on my business. And I'm excited to see where it goes because she's excellent. But through that, I began somatic training with her. I am hosting the show and we're talking about it. So I wanted to know what it was. And it has been life-changing for me. She can attest to that, but we won't get into that. But she is the real deal. So I want you to hear that before she starts talking about this so you can really know what she's saying is completely impactful and it works. So let us get into it. Okay. So the first tip you sent over to me is that 15-minute body scans build the muscle of body attunement so you can put out the fire before it starts. So can you please explain what that means?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think nervous system regulation it's gaining in popularity. It's a little bit of a buzzword. And with that, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around it and what it actually takes, what it actually means. And so I'll see sort of quick hit kind of content out there where it's like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, just stop, do a little breathing, and this is going to help you regulate your nervous system, which I'm not saying that that's bad. Like, right. I'm saying if you have a tool and you can use it in the moment, that's amazing. But the way that our nervous system operates is just a subconscious foundation for how we handle life and stress and everything that happens in our day-to-day lives. And so we're not aware of it And so a 30 to 60-second little breathing trick might help, kind of like a band-aid in the moment, but to really rewire and become aware of what's actually going on, I wanted to make the tip tangible and specific. And what I've found to be really, really impactful is a 15-minute body scan practice. And so I'll have my clients do what I call a body scan boot camp, which is waking up, doing a 15-minute body scan. I've got a recording that I share with my clients that they do first thing in the morning when they wake up, the last thing before they go to bed, and icing on the cake. If you're an extra overachiever, like do another one in the middle of your day. Because what that's going to do as you're just creating presence and awareness with your body at different checkpoints throughout your day is going to help you become aware of the state that you're in as you go through different chapters of your day. Becoming aware of what's going on is really the key, is really the ticket here. Because, like I said, so much of it is subconscious. It's happening without our awareness. And so this is the first foundational step that makes all the difference in the world.
So when we are doing a body scan, what does that mean we're doing?
It means that we are paying attention to every little piece of our body, right? And so I'll have you start at your toes, right? And it's like find a comfortable position. You can do them laying down, you can do them seated, you can do them standing up. And once you're in the practice of it, you can do them pretty quickly. But because so often we're really checked out from what's even happening in our body, the 15-minute is really kind of like the long version, the deep dive, and we really need to start there. And so what I'll lead you through in the body scan is paying attention to your toes, flexing your toes, curling your toes, and just kind of moving them a little bit to become aware of sensation in your toes. Then we'll move up to the ankles, the calves, the thighs, the torso, and on and up, arms, hands, face. And so you're just taking a moment to be like, what's going on with my belly today? Are my legs tense? Am I clenching my jaw? Am I tight or am I relaxed? And more often than not, we're all very tight and tense and just sort of bracing. And so as you become aware of the tension that you're naturally holding subconsciously, then you can relax and you can say, oh, I am tense. Okay, what if I just bring a little bit of relaxation there to my shoulders, to my legs? Mhm.
So tell me about, so I've done this in the morning. Now I have a fire come, and you said in your tip, you can put out the fire before it starts.
Mhm.
How is this going to help me in the moment then?
You're going to become aware of the way that your body responds to that in the moment activation and trigger. And instead of being taken for the ride, you'll see it happening and you'll be like, oh my gosh, like my heart is racing. I'm having this bracing moment. And you'll watch your body respond to it as opposed to just like your body responding, but you're stuck in your head. And so you're not really sure what's happening in your body. And when you're in your head, you're caught up in the story and the meaning that you're assigning to what's happening. I have a great personal example. So the pattern that I got to break was in relationship with my boyfriend, now my fiance. We live together and there's like this thing in me that feels inadequate if he's doing something around the house and I'm not. So it's like that, prove it. I'm a farm girl. I grew up like hard work ethic is my identity. It's the thing. And so there would be that story. He's out mowing the lawn and it's like, I need to grab a vacuum. If he's out mowing the lawn, like are there dishes I can do? I can't just be sitting here, even if I'm doing something productive, even if I'm like doing client work or in my office or whatever, I'm still just like, he's contributing to the home and I'm not in this moment and it needs to be equal. And so that's the story that would run, which isn't necessarily a helpful story, isn't true, isn't like, oh, he's going to be mad at me if I'm not.
And I think it's something to point out before you go on is that I'm sure he's not mad at you. This is different if there was some actual maddening thing in this that she knew that there was going to be a consequence, but this is a totally made up story. I want people to hear that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's my brain making up this story, assigning meaning to the way that my body is being activated in response to this due to my history and the way that I grew up and the values that were impressed upon me growing up. And so that's a pattern that I would run, and it would send me into this state of anxiety and kind of tension and like, oh gosh, I got to do something. He's going to be mad at me. I'm kind of like watching him out there mowing the lawn. Is he mad? What's going on? And so through doing this work and gaining my certification, really like diving in, I was able to watch that activation happen and sort of sit with it and sit with the part of me that's coming up with this story, this protector that's like, in order to be safe, you got to get up and grab the vacuum right now. And it's like, no, no, I hear you. I hear you. You're trying to keep me safe. And this is just a made up story. This is a made up scenario. And you can bring that presence to yourself when you can see it happening and not get just caught up in the story and taken along for the ride.
Think this is going to go right into your second tip, which has to do with control. But I wanted to point out first that when I started working with Michal, I was a little worried that this was woo woo. And I actually expressed that to her because I'm Christian and I love Jesus. And I'm like, is this going to be some weird meditation thing? And I have mentioned this on prior shows, but here's the thing, this is very much working on getting your flesh out of the way so you can walk by the Spirit. So if you can just calm your flesh down, the spirit can do what God intends it to do. So the body scan is not some weird meditation when you're calling on the universe to come and opening up yourself, because you don't want to do that. This is just, hey, this is my body. And what Michal pointed out, which I have now started learning, is once you get into that state, it's like your soul and your spirit are looking at your physical body going, hey, everything's okay. Everything's okay. So am I explaining that right, Michal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would tack on, through working with you, it's been super cool to see the spirituality connection to this work. Because I was taught a very, I would say, biology focused approach. Like, this is just what's happening in the body, which was super, super helpful for me. But then through working with you and the perspective that you would bring as someone who I would consider like a spiritual mentor, and everything that's constantly coming up activation wise, you're like, it's chaos and confusion. And you're like, that's the devil. The devil sows seeds of chaos and confusion. And I'm like, wow, fascinating. I kind of get goosebumps even just like
Yeah, I did too.
sharing that in the realization.
It's so important for people to hear that because we are biological beings, but we have a soul and a spirit inside of us too. So the devil is always attacking our brain and he's attacking our body. But these fake stories, these traumas that we carry around with us, and it's not to blame everything that's happened, but we hold on to things and we don't realize, gosh, every time my stomach goes like that, it's this weird thing reminding me. So when you sit in the morning and you do these body scans, it trains your brain to be able to look at your body. Like Michal said, it trains your spirit to be able to look at your flesh, is what I would say. That's what I've learned with it, that I can kind of remove myself a little bit and go, hey, you're okay in there. Calm down.
Yeah.
So, yes. Okay. So let's move on to your second tip, which you said unmask control as fake safety. And I think this is really impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hypervigilance is the desire to be constantly tracking everything and everyone and monitoring everything that's going on so that you can anticipate problems before they start, so you can solve them, so you can kind of direct the flow of everything, the entire project, the family, the relationships, whatever's going on. And I call it a fake notion of safety and security because it's the adage that everybody's heard, but you want to make God laugh, you tell him your plans. And when you're in that space of like, I need to control everything so that it goes according to plan so that I can feel safe, knowing that there's certainty in the steps that I'm taking or the work that I'm doing and the goal that we're headed towards, is like, actually it's God's plan. And every day you're going to be thrown for a little bit of a loop. And that's part of it, because we're really just taking one blind step after another. And it's like, okay, this is what I feel like. This is my calling. So I'm taking this step. This is what I think is important. And I'm going to do this. And it's actually so much more freeing to realize that, like, I don't actually know where this is leading. And I don't need to steer the ship. I had this for so long in my business. You read my story, the the bio of starting over from scratch. I literally started from zero, from nothing. I moved back in with my parents in the end of 2022, walked away from a successful business that I built with my ex-partner to, okay, how am I going to take these skills and build my own business off of it? And for so long, I was in this space of like, I need to hit the next income milestone. I need to get a client or that client. And I'm so attached to like, I need to make this happen in order to feel safe, in order to feel worthy of doing the work that I'm doing. And I would say in the last year, transitioned completely to a point where I'm like, I'm pretty sure God is using me in this business and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it feels good. And I trust the clients that he's bringing to me and I'm going to do my best to serve them to the highest degree that I can. But I'm totally open if 3 months from now, 6 months from now, the clients dry up, they're not coming, that God has a different plan in store for me. And I'm just going to continue to, like I said, take that one blind step at a time and be so open to where it leads. And it's like, I
It's
just
walking
find,
by faith.
yeah,
Walking by faith. Yeah.
exactly. And I feel
Hmm.
so much more peace, so much more safety, so much security in that, where it's like, I don't
Hmm.
need to force anything to happen. I'm not going,
How did you get there? So we can kind of tangibly bring this to our listeners. What was the flip for you? What do you say to yourself?
it wasn't one moment. And I would say it's within the last year to 6 months that I've really deepened my relationship with God, with Christ, and, been attending regular Bible studies. My fiance and I were doing premarital counseling with our pastor, just really getting involved in the church community. And that's been a huge impact on me. I entered the nervous system regulation, the somatic practitioner training. And to give you an idea of where I was at before, I would consider myself a born again Christian. I was baptized as a child, felt like I had a relationship with Jesus as, a 7, 8 year old little girl. And then through just complicated relationships at the church, my parents stopped attending. That wasn't a focus of my life through middle school, high school, college, my 20s. I always felt like I would talk to God. I had this spiritual connection, this priority always, but it wasn't grounded, centered in like Christian spirituality. And so, yeah, and I definitely dabbled, right? Exposed myself to the new age kind of spirituality and all of that. It's so funny to me because I can look back at all of the different moments and turning points and chapters where I was like, oh, there was God just giving me a nugget. For instance, I was deeply depressed in college, and what helped me get out of that was listening to a psychologist explain like the psychological significance of the biblical stories, right? Like, why in the world was I drawn to that?
Because he's always standing there with his arms wide open, waiting for us to turn around and
Totally,
to fall back into him. So
totally.
it sounds like you turned to the faith, really, is where you're calming, because
Exactly,
Christ is the Prince of Peace. I mean, he is. So.
exactly. And what's so funny is in the new age spirituality world, I just kept being drawn to this message of surrender and trust, like releasing my will and being led, right? And the more that I leaned into surrender and trust, it's like, oh, I need this incredible friend. She invited me to attend Bible study at this church. This church ended up being like the most welcoming, incredible community. Brought my boyfriend there. We started going through premarital counseling. Now we're engaged, and it's like, yeah, surrender and trust.
So
Yeah.
on the opposite side of that, I'm going to bring it back to the tip. So people are trying to control things because it makes them feel safe. What does that do to our nervous system?
It's the constant tension and
Okay.
and yeah, bringing this down to a biological level. I would just invite anyone listening, check out your shoulders right now. Check out your your hips, your legs, your jaw? Are you holding any tension there? I think so many of us, we feel like we have to hold things together, or what happens when the subconscious gets programmed is you have like a success story where you were controlling and you were holding things together. And then that gets locked in as like, oh, I was controlling an outcome and I got the outcome that I was looking for. So now this is the strategy that I'm going to use to navigate the world for the rest of time.
And therefore, the first time that something's out of your control, you spiral down.
Exactly. Yeah. And you
Okay.
don't know how to handle it.
Okay. So that puts us into a tizzy, really. And then we can go back to tip one where we're noticing these things and saying, this is what's happening and this is why. And this
Yeah.
is the story created.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we move to the third tip, we're going to take a quick break.
Screens are easy. Now imagination can be too. Planet FASA brings kids and families into a world of fun, activities, stories, service, and awards that build imagination muscles. Download 5 quick activities, free coloring pages, and character building books at theplanetfasa.com, where the better choice becomes the easier choice.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. We are here with Michal, and she's going to walk us through her third tip, which is joy requires presence.
Yes. The quote that has stuck with me is the number of good things in your life depend on your ability to notice them. And so that requires presence. That requires slowing down. That requires being able to be like, oh, this is my favorite coffee mug. I love this mug. Wow. What a good thing in my life, right? Instead of just kind of being like, this is the vessel that I drink my coffee out of, and I've got all these things on my to-do list, and here I go. I'm going, and just getting kind of future tripping on what you need to do that day and what you need to accomplish, and thinking that the to-do list or the accomplishments are going to bring you joy, are going to bring you good things. But it's like, I mean, if you don't have a habit of slowing down to embrace each moment, then I don't care how big the accomplishment, how massive the milestone that you achieve, you won't be there for it. You'll just be on to the next, right? It's like, okay, well, I did that, but what's the next mountain that I'm going to climb?
I feel like there's two things that are part of that. It's you equate your joy, like you're saying, to your accomplishments.
Mhm.
And you have to keep getting better and better, you think, better and better, better to actually experience joy. So that's not the joy I was talking about in the beginning of this program.
Mhm.
Because that joy is a mindset that lives inside of you. But also, even if you do accomplish those big things, because your mindset is set upon what I can accomplish, like you're saying, you won't even recognize the big moments that you have, let alone your coffee cup. You could
Mhm.
get a Nobel Prize and be like, what can I do next? So it kind of destroys your ability to even have joy.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So how, Michal, do we do that?
Mm, I think romanticizing your life is my favorite way and place to start, where you do have maybe a specific practice of slowing down as you start your day. Maybe that's enjoying your coffee in your favorite chair, your favorite spot. I have this, I live in a small town and there's a lake nearby, and all of the prized real estate is on the lake. And we're so fortunate to have this rental that was a friend of a friend that we got into. But I sit on my couch, and if I look through my tree branches and the neighbor's bushes and 2 blocks over, I can see a little tiny sliver of the lake. And so I'm like, I've got a lakefront view right here in my living room. And so,
So I love when you said romanticize your life. At first I was like, oh, you're dreaming of stuff that you'll never have. But you mean take what you do have and make it romantic,
exactly,
which
exactly.
is
Yeah.
fantastic. Because I was talking to a sleep therapist, and I'm like, put cucumbers in your water. It makes it sexy. You know,
Mhm.
that's kind of what you're saying. Take what
Yeah,
we would consider the mundane and make it romantic or whatever it is for you. If it has to be exciting or, you know,
exactly.
that's what you're
It's
saying. Okay.
it's the practice of savoring, right? And so that could be food, that could be beverages, that could be sitting in a comfortable chair, that could be stepping outside to feel the sun on your skin. It's like bringing all of your senses into this experience of being alive. And, you'll find that when you bring your senses online to just explore the space that you're inhabiting, it's like that can be really joyful, right?
And she's not saying online on screen. She's saying like online into your body.
Fire it up.
Yes. I do want you, I know this wasn't on the tip list that you gave to me, but I think a way to do what you're talking about right now is that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And if you could just walk the listeners through that real quick, because it sounds so simplistic, but it actually makes you savor, like she's saying, the environment around you.
Yeah.
And I think there's other benefits to it as well, but
yeah, it's super cool. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 practice is a way to engage your five senses. From a nervous system perspective, it really signals safety because you're fully taking in your surroundings and just signaling to your body through your senses, this is a known environment. I'm safe here. And so one of the ways that I encouraged Shannon to use this was perhaps sitting down to record a podcast. If you're nervous to record, your system is a little bit activated. It's clocking, I might be unsafe to record. I might be unsafe to be visible in this way. But if you just sit down and you do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is picking out 5 things that you can see, but really looking at them and studying the quality of the shape, the color, the texture, just kind of paying attention to the shiny metallic band that the light catches on your water bottle. Just really looking at things. You pick 5 things to really study. You find 4 things that you can touch. Maybe it's your clothing, your desk, your chair. I've got a soft blanket on my chair because I love soft things and just like feeling into what's soothing about the texture of the thing that you're feeling, really studying it again. And then you go to 3 things that you can hear, which requires you to be still and silent and actually pick out, okay, I can hear the dishwasher. I can hear a bird chirping outside, which is just a wonderful way we don't often pick up on the things that aren't immediately hearable, but when you do, it kind of brings your system and your awareness into this just beautiful savoring, like we're talking about. And then 2 things that you can smell. Maybe that's a hair product or a perfume. And then 1 thing that you can taste. And so right now I've got the taste of coffee in my mouth that I'm really savoring because I love my coffee in the morning.
it's so interesting to realize, and this goes back to everything this whole episode has been talking about, how many things you'd miss that are right around you that you're like, I never noticed the shape of that, or I never noticed how many things that I have that are red in this room or whatever color it is. You'll be shocked, and it will open you up to doing it in other places. And I just think it's very healthy and it's a lot of fun. It really is. I am going to quickly recap the 3 things that we talked about today, do the best I can. Michael, chime in if I miss anything. But she talked about tip number 1, 15-minute body scans build the muscle of body attunement. And the purpose of that is to get yourself in the practice of just slowing down and feeling your body. She said you can do it 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at night, in the middle of the day. And once you get better at it, you can do it quicker. But it's just so that you kind of notice the different parts of your body. So in those moments when you do have one of those stories that you tell yourself, you can feel those parts of your body and instantly tell it to calm down and realize, hey, I'm in control here, not my body. And that is the good type of control, because tip 2 is unmasked control as fake safety. And that's the type of control where you are trying to anticipate everything that's going to happen in your day, your week, or your year. And you cannot possibly do that because every day is different. That's what this life brings. So if you can ease that control and walk by faith, and we're not saying this is easy, but understand that you can control your body and you control your reactions. You can't control what's going to happen to you. And if you can live like that, you are going to calm yourself down. So those 2 really go together. And then tip 3, joy requires presence. And this is a whole bunch of things, but we'll start with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you can walk into a room and do that, that will immediately start you savoring the stuff around you. I love what you said. The number of good things in your life depend on your ability to notice them. So that will help you notice things. But what I love about this is if you can savor your coffee, if you can appreciate your mug, you're going to appreciate when really big things happen to you even more, because you should celebrate yourself.
Mhm.
We skip over those things so much. So if you can celebrate the small things, you're going to really appreciate the big things, but you don't need those big things to have joy every day. So
100%.
those are Michal's tips. And I will tell you, she has very much impacted me. So Michal, can you tell people how to find you and all the different things you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram. I offer social media marketing consulting for businesses, and I do offer trauma-informed somatic practitioner. I call it training because I'm working with my clients to really give them the power to operate on their own. Like my intention is not to work with people forever. I want to give you the tools to use in your own life so that you have the power to meet yourself in any moment or scenario. So those are the two pathways that I have to offer. But like I said, Instagram is the best place to find me. And that handle is Michal Emily Schuster. That's MichalEmilyschuster. And what I would love to offer listeners of this show is that 15-minute body scan audio that I have. So we will make that available to you in the show notes, in the Joy PDF that comes with this, so that you have a step-by-step guided practice that you can take right here and now. You can do it as soon as you want to. And yeah, just incorporate that into your everyday life. It makes all the difference in the world.
Michal, thank you so much for offering that. I can attest to the fact that it really does work. And it's a great way to start taking back control over all the weird little quirks that our body does trying to protect us. And we just need to tell ourselves we're okay.
One thing that, as you're recapping, I'd love to also highlight as maybe a blessing for the listener is just that this state of joy and looking for the good. I think by the cynics, the pessimists, it can really get sort of poo-pooed, looked down on, like, oh, that's so naive. And as someone who's walked both, believe me, I've been a cynic for many years. I think it's actually the most courageous path to take because it's really easy to point out all the problems in the world. It's really easy and obvious to point out all the ways that humanity is falling short of the best that we could be. But to find the silver lining, to hold the belief and trust in the positive path forward and what good could possibly come from all the bad and evil in the world is courageous. That takes guts because it's not obvious and it's not easy to hold that. And what I've experienced is in my own way, being able to uplift those around me. My fiance is a great example. We've been together for over 2 years, and on our recent anniversary, he wrote me this beautiful card and just the reflection of how grateful he is for my light in his world and just being the one who's constantly like, we're going to find a way, even if it's not clear, it's going to be good. We're going to take the next step. It doesn't matter what happens. We can handle it. We can always find the good within the bad. And I know that's been really helpful for him. He's brilliant, but I think what can go along with that brilliant intelligence is a struggle to remain as naively optimistic.
Yeah. Well, it's just back to what we said before, Michal. It's a mindset of joy. That's
Mhm.
what it is. And that is courageous and it is different and it's beautiful. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. So for a recap of Michal's tips and insights, you can find today's Joy PDF at sscoulter.com/joy. If this episode gave you something to think about, something to try, if you try any of these things and they have an impact on you, I would love to hear about it. I know Michal would too. So please leave me a voice memo on Telegram at @sscoulter. And if you've ever felt like you were carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, if you're trying to control everything, go ahead and subscribe, and share this with someone who could benefit from Michal's tips to bring a little more joy and calm into their lives today. Michael, I think you already did this. I like to come back to my guests for closing remarks before we close out the episode. If you could give any final words of wisdom to people to bring a little more joy back into their lives.
Mm. Yeah, our pastor shared this at a recent Sunday sermon that stuck with me, and the message was around love and joy being warfare. And I thought that fit with the theme of our conversation today and everything that we're talking on, because it's not easy, but it's so necessary to be joyful, to love others, to remain positive in spite of all the reasons that we have to not be positive or joyful. It's a practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The joy of the Lord is your strength. So, for
Mm.
everybody listening today, I just want you to know that you are so loved. You have an amazing purpose in this world. And this is the day the Lord has made. So, let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let there be joy. Bye for now.
Did God sleep on the seventh day? No, he was just resting his eyes.